Are most people slaves? Noam Chomsky thinks so.
Look, just think about it for a minute. Almost everybody spends most of their life living in a totalitarian system. It's called having a job.
That is absolutely true. Most people spend most of their time in a totalitarian system that we call workplace. But they don't view it as such because they're immersed in it and it is a normal part of their everyday life. Just like fish swimming in the ocean cannot see water because they are immersed in it and have been living in it forever. But if you think about it, most workplaces are not democratic at all. In those places, people have no say in the decision-making process, nor in the rules. People, that is, workers, are just obliged to obey, to do and follow what they are being told without question. Otherwise, they risk losing their jobs.
When you have a job, you're under total control of the masters of the enterprise. They determine what you wear, when you go to the bathroom, what you do.
Yes, and this kind of control is especially visible in low-paying jobs or manual jobs, where in some cases workers are micromanaged to the minute, sometimes even through the use of tracking software. In many workplaces nowadays, bathroom breaks are tightly controlled. There are stories of people who have lost their jobs because they went to the bathroom for a few minutes longer than their colleagues, and hence they were viewed as inefficient. And there are also stories of some people choosing even to pee on themselves rather than going to the bathroom and risk losing their jobs.
The very idea of a wage contract is selling yourself into servitude.
This is so true and such a powerful way to frame wage labor. Most people think that they're just selling their work, but in reality, they're selling their time, they're selling their energy, they're selling their autonomy, they're selling their very freedom. So this system is so coercive, and those of us who are living paycheck to paycheck cannot say no to submitting ourselves to wage labor. And we have very limited options when it comes to what honor to submit ourselves to.
These are private governments. They're more totalitarian than governments are.
Exactly. Many of us are worried about governments becoming totalitarian, when the most totalitarian places are workplaces. At least with governments, we have rights, we have elections, we have a voice. But when it comes to private governments, such as those of corporations, we have almost no power at all. The power lies only in the hands of CEOs and boards of directors. Workers have extremely little influence on their workplaces. They just have to shut up and obey.
But they can't legally murder you or imprison you.
They can't legally murder you, but they can control everything that you do.
Well, they don't need to use violence. They can control you through dependence. When your very survival is dependent on your job owners, then you're willing to do pretty much anything to satisfy them and keep your job, even if that means being an obedient slave, being humiliated, doing meaningless work, and so on and so forth. Coercion is the way they control you.
Well, again, the right-wing libertarian argument would be, well, you're free to leave at any time.
Yes, you're free to starve. That's exactly right. You have a choice between starving or selling yourself to a tyranny. Very libertarian.
Libertarians call themselves libertarian when what they advocate for has nothing to do with liberty, has nothing to do with freedom. Yes, theoretically, you can quit your job. But what is the alternative? Especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck. It is to end up in the streets begging for food. It's like pointing a gun at somebody and telling them that they are free to ignore your threat and live.
The right-wing libertarians, whatever they believe, are actually deep authoritarians. They're calling for subordination to private tyrannies, the worst kind of tyrannies.
Exactly. The freedom that libertarians truly care about is the freedom of the powerful, the freedom of corporations, the freedom of bosses, the freedom to exploit, oppress, and subjugate others. Everyone else is expected to just obey and suffer. Libertarians don't care about workplace democracy. They want to remove the authority of the government, but they replace it with an even worse authority that is unaccountable. So you end up with private tyrannies that operate without public oversight. And that is deeply authoritarian.